Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, with your host, Hurricane Age. Today's guest is a powerful example of what happens when you take your health into your own hands. Karen ZuZu Arms is a holistic health educator, author, speaker who has spent decades helping people restore and sustain vibrant health naturally. After reversing her own epilepsy, scoliosis, and arthritis through holistic strategies, she dedicated her life to empowering others to do the same. She has delivered over 2,500 seminars, authored multiple health books, and co-founded Holistic Health Educators, a global platform reaching over 45,000 wellness seekers worldwide. Please welcome Karen Zuzu Arms. Karen, welcome to the show. We're going to have some fun today.
We are. It's so fun. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Listen, I already get this. I mean, the energy is just unbelievable. Whatever you're doing, I want a piece of that. So I need send me the formula. We got to share that today with our audiences. But we need a lot of that positive energy, and the health vibe. I mean, the vitality that I can already extract from our discussion. We might be across Zoom, but I have to say, I can see it. It's oozing through my screen right now. So
Oozing. I
you
love
like
it.
that one? Well,
Yep.
I watch a lot of movies. I think maybe that's what it is.
That might be. That's right. I love it. I never watched movies. I hardly watched movies until I got married a few years ago. I found this guy in my pool, and I'm not kidding you. That's really where I found him. And we're terribly in love. And I sauna every day. And I would always watch documentaries because I'm like a knowledge buff. I just want to know everything about everything, both sides of all the stories, right? And he loved movies. And so he introduced me to movies. And now I'm like watching Bond in the morning, for an hour every day in the sauna. So finally, I'm getting like when you guys all give lines of movies, I'm actually able to pick up on some of them now. I'm feeling pretty impressed.
Well, so I mean, there are movies and there are movies, obviously, right? So there's some entertaining stuff, there's some
Yes.
good stuff. By the way, documentaries are the best. Obviously, you get some real juice, real science, and real informational stuff. But some movies
Yeah.
are also, yes, they're entertaining, but I think the spin of things is got a core message. You got some stuff in there. You certainly can pick up a few
Yeah.
lines, a few expressions. There's a lot of movies. I actually use movies, believe it or not, in trainings, especially like sports movies, war movies, leadership, stuff. Even disaster movies, like in terms of decision making, how to
Mm.
do it, survival stuff. There's all kind of types of things you can extract from it. Of course, you cannot make it your priority. I mean, life goes beyond that, but it
Yes.
helps. I mean, we are in the media business right now, so we're uh hello, Zuzu. I lost you
I'm here.
visual.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
somehow
here.
it kind of got small in the
Whoops.
screen. I don't know why.
Oh dear.
Um, all right. Well, so do you want me to wait until you figure out, or we can just
Oh
continue?
no,
Because
I
I
don't
can
see
see you
anything
slow.
wrong. Are you seeing? I'm not seeing anything wrong. Are you seeing something wrong?
Yeah, the screen just got shrunk into like this small piece in the middle. There it is. It's back. Listen,
Okay.
this is it happens in tech. It's all good. We're recording and it's happening, and this is all good stuff. It's part of what we do,
Okay.
right? Um,
Yes.
but this is actually a lesson to be learned. I always say when this happens, I tell people this: you never know what you're gonna get in life. You got to deal with stuff. So you need to learn how to operate when things happen not your way, and sometimes things happen. You just got to deal with them. A
Yes.
lot of people sometimes have difficulty
Yes.
adjusting to minor shifts in their lives. Now you had quite a
Mhm.
bit of stuff in your life that happened. Why don't you take us back? First of all, I love your name. As I told you, Zuzu is a dear name to me. So it's a special name today. I have a special guest with me, literally, and I mean it, because that's my mom's name. So it's
Mhm.
powerful stuff. But here, so Zuzu, take us back. I mean, by the way, do you want me to call you Zuzu as
Oh yeah,
the
please call me Zuzu. Yeah, please.
okay, Zuzu it
Works.
is. So
Yes.
literally it was my dad's, name for mama, and it stuck and it became
Mhm.
hers, and so we enjoy it and we love it. So take us back to the story. I mean, I stated a lot of things in that quick introduction there, and wow, I mean, when you hear about reversing all these conditions, health conditions, you
Mhm.
know, take us back. How did it happen in the first place? I mean, there's something that was not right in the first place to get you there, and how did
Yeah.
you manage outside of the system? Because it looks like you went the holistic approach, which
Oh yeah.
works for you. And I'm telling you, like I look at you right now, and I feel the energy, I see the energy, the smile, the vibrance. You know, I want people to feel exactly that joy that I'm feeling right now. Let's do this.
Well, it was definitely a neat journey to go through. I had epilepsy growing up, so I'd have seizures. I had my first seizure that I remember on the bus going to school or coming home from school, and so as the years developed and we found we had epilepsy, I was on three medications. But when I was early in my 20s and I had gotten married and wanted to have children, I didn't want to be on all that medication, and so I just started researching, and that was before the World Wide Web. So I started researching like how do synapses work? What is epilepsy? What can I do for my nervous system? And back then, that was what, 38 years ago. We didn't have as much information available as we do now. But I started eating foods that had higher, healthier fats and avoiding all sugar and bringing in, foods that now I know are GABA. They're GABA rich foods because GABA is the neurotransmitter that controls all the electricity in the body. So if people aren't sleeping and people have Tourette's or epilepsy or any kind of neurological disorder, I just had a gentleman yesterday with Parkinson's. So anybody who's dealing with those neurological issues, nervous system issues, tremors, GABA is that neurotransmitter. So it's neat now to look back and go, wow, I was led to a diet of really healthy oil and to avoid sugars because that is literally what restored my neurological health. And I haven't had a seizure since. And I've been able to help a lot of people reverse their epilepsy or not have seizures or any kind of nervous system disorder. That's probably my favorite system of the body because of it. But I didn't realize then that that's where it was going to lead me. I just became more aware of the body. And then when I had my first baby and her tear ducts were clogged and they wanted to do surgery, they needed to. And when they took her into surgery, they said, "We're just going to put tubes in her ears because we know she'll need them." And I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 no. Like, no, 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 no. Whatever that is, no, you're not doing it." And that is when I really started taking some deep dives into natural health. And so I started teaching classes and teaching people how to grind wheat and bake their own bread. Not, all of it, from it was 40 years ago that I had my first green drink in college. And that's what really inspired this change. And so when I started having children, teaching classes, I started opening up wellness centers and grocery stores and cafes, and then we started the education. And my first graduate was in 2010. We had a small class, maybe 15, 20 people, and we had doctors in the class. And here I am with my flower in my hair, teaching how cells function and how the body works. But it was great. It was so much fun. And I'll never forget, like after, because they did a whole bunch of training and book reports, they did a bunch of work before they came in person. And so when they came in person, I had them for 40 hours that week. And then they could take their exams. But I kept waiting, like afterwards, I'm like, okay, am I going to get some letters? I'm like, what's going to happen next? Right. And like nothing, just always happy. Then the next cohort went through, then the next one, the next, and all these groups of people around the country here in America were taking my courses. And then in 2000, I just linked up with my daughter. She had graduated from Johns Hopkins and was quite aware that public health isn't exactly what you think public health is. And now we have holistic health educators and we have students all over the world, 100 languages, and we are super excited to help people get inspired to learn how their body works. Because if you have fear when you get a diagnosis, it's only because you don't understand it. And when we understand what's happening at the cell level, we can reduce our fear and most likely reverse a lot of what you're going through. I've seen it over and over and over again.
Ooh, well,
That's the
hold on a
nutshell
second.
version.
That's that's a lot. So
That's
we
the
gotta
nutshell.
unpack that. We have to break that down a little bit. Well, first, epilepsies, right? So I actually have seen them in close, vicinity. They don't look fun. It's difficult for whoever is going through them. It is a dangerous situation. I mean, people can be driving, can happen. You can be
Mhm.
standing in the wrong place. It can be a bad fall. A lot of things can happen. But I do have a question. I know you talked about like how you presented and you did all this stuff, but do you have a medical background in or clinical background or no?
I
Because
am I'm a holistic healthcare practitioner. So I did get certified years ago, I believe 2008, and I did a lot of research. I still do research constantly, but it's interesting because we even right now, probably a third of our students are medical. Another medical doctor just graduated. We have medical professionals in our programs all the time, nurses and LPNs, and I mean chiropractors and dentists, holistic dentists simply because we take a different approach to the body. We really come from that cell. the cell, how the cell responds in a situation. So everything is cellular and electrical. And so we really do a lot of education on frequencies and not foo-foo stuff, very scientific. But then at the cell level, what's going on in the microbiome, what's going on with the nervous system. So when I reversed my own issues, epilepsy at least, I didn't have any kind of certification. I just started studying. And then as I opened my store, I kept studying and teaching classes on, inflammation and cancers and whatever people had questions on because I really love researching and and then applying those principles. And so I became certified as a practitioner. And then it was kind of funny because as during the time I was getting certified, I actually started writing my own program because I was like, they're not teaching it. They're not teaching enough. Like there should be more about this. There should be more about that. So literally, I wrote my first course during the time I was getting certified as an HHP, which is kind of fun. And that's kind of where it's come from. So that, and now, thousands of clients later, it's been an incredible journey, a lot of fun. And I actually just reversed my scoliosis about maybe, 6 years ago or so. So that was something more recent because I wanted to get rid of my scoliosis. Whenever I moved my kids or bent over backwards, I could be out for a week or two. That's done. It took about 18 months, but again, it was just understanding the body, understanding oxygen, understanding fascia, understanding how to move that. And it's been awesome. And we have before, after x-rays and everything. So it's just been neat.
Well, I've listened to you, and I'm so hyper about it because first of all, this happened years back, and you discovered this condition of epilepsy. And I will ask you to actually maybe you can explain a little bit the science and how it works and how it happens. Also scoliosis, because I think some people may not know the clinical aspect of it and why what it happens. But
Mhm.
certainly, you started, you discovered it. My question to you, did you go to like conventional medicine and it was not working? Did you try anything? Because especially talking about years back, I mean, we were conditioned to just do the traditional. You go to the doctor, you get your regular, x-rays, whatever you need to do. Let's do some CAT scans, whatever at the time. It is costly and all that. And then you get some prognosis and, maybe a treatment
Medication.
of
Yep.
oh, medication. Yeah, exactly. So
Yep.
you get some pills to kind of you talked about how the brain works and synapses, and now you talked about GABA. So let's break down the little bit of the science behind epilepsy and how it is, and really how the real condition occurs and how we can even prevent it. Is it even preventative? Let's talk about that. And by the way, the reason I asked about the medical, because some people were like, "Well, do you have a clinical background about this?" So I just wanted to get that credibility in the
Oh,
discussion because I
sure.
don't think I mentioned that yet. So
Don't
go
care
ahead.
at all. I'm totally good with that. Well, yes, I did. I mean, my mother was definitely not holistic. That wasn't something a lot of people even knew about. Like, what's a chiropractor? Ooh, stay away from them. They're crazy, right? And that's not true. Please go. But I literally had all the testing done, and I was on 3 medications when I was in college. So when I was in college and just having a good old time, I got introduced to a woman who made green drinks. She had 12 kids, and we became really good friends because she was just really cool. And that's when I started like watching her family and no one was ever sick. I'm like, oh, this is cool. So when I got married and got pregnant, I was going to get pregnant. I'm like, well, I don't actually want to be on these pharmaceuticals. So I wonder if there's a way out. So that's when I started studying. And that's really what we teach is always look upstream. And so if there is an endocrine disruptor or something wrong with the endocrine system, and the endocrine system makes hormones, well, the endocrine system is controlled by the nervous system. So you can go to an endocrinologist and you can get a hormone. I don't recommend that. Like, unless, I mean, maybe once in a while I'll recommend that, but very rarely, because I would rather start with the nervous system, which is controlling the hormonal system, because your nerves might not be firing, which is why you are not making the hormones in those glands that you need to be. Or you're simply missing a building block for that hormone. Like if you don't have enough iodine or tyrosine, you're never going to make T4, which means you're not going to have a really hard time losing weight. So people will go to the doctor and say, oh, I can't lose this weight and I never have any energy. And the doctor puts them on something for their thyroid. Oh, you have hypothyroidism. Well, if you come to me and you've got hypothyroidism, I'll be like, well, you're missing iodine. You're most likely having an issue with the liver, and look at your tyrosine levels. You balance that, and quite honestly, 99.8% of the people I've ever worked with hypothyroidism, they don't need medication after a few months. I don't do anything. I just educate. I just tell them, hey, this is how the thyroid works. This is what the liver does at that conversion. So looking upstream can really help. And that's what happened with epilepsy. I didn't know I had epilepsy when I was little. I didn't even know what a seizure was. Either did my mom. I would have a seizure and tell her about it. And she was like, let's prop some pillows up differently for you to sleep with. And we didn't know. And so when the diagnosis came, which I'm very grateful for because I didn't want to be driving and have a seizure, it was great. It gave me an answer. And we work with the medical community all the time. Just so you and your listeners know, holistic health educators, we have two taglines, and one of them is bridging Western and Eastern medicine for good, because we teach the science of natural healing and we love working with the medical doctors that we get to work with. We have a medical director here. We work with medical directors in our community. There are doctors who send their clients to us. We have a hospital that has sent us clients. And because we approach things a little differently, and having both of those worlds is tremendously beneficial. And in a day and age where it's one or the other, black or white, right? Religion division, everything's separate. It's like, oh my gosh, like number one, get over yourself because you can't actually save the world all by yourself. And when it comes to natural medicine and Western medicine, there is a phenomenal time and place for both. And learning when that time and place happens and can congruently work together is what we're teaching and what we want others to learn. Because yes, if you change the diet, you are going to change the cellular environment, right? And then you're going to have a different outcome. If you have a sluggish thyroid and you test and you're low in iodine or tyrosine, because the thyroid makes T4, and so I'm picking on that. It's an easy one for people to relate to, so I use it quite often. But if you don't have enough iodine, you'll never make T4, and then you'll never have enough energy, and you can't metabolize your food. So you start taking more iodine or eating iodine-rich foods. Now you have energy. Do that before noon, or they'll be up all night. But now you have more energy. Your thyroid's balancing, and you feel fantastic. Did you need the medication? Nope. If you don't want to change your diet, add more iodine. Yep, you'll need medication. Type 2 diabetes, extremely easy to get rid of, extremely easy. I have watched it so many hundreds to thousands of times. I can't even tell you how understanding diabetes and understanding insulin and glucose makes it very understandable. So the educational aspect of what we do is my biggest excitement, because when you can explain to somebody how insulin and glucose and how you need chromium for any of that to even, get absorbed into the cell, where candida comes from, which is great because it's helping you avoid diabetes, even though, we don't want a candida overgrowth because then you have toenail fungus and athlete's foot and lethargy and watery eyes and no libido. You don't want to have no libido, right? So when you understand what's happening with blood sugar, it makes it much easier to reverse the issue with blood sugar, right? And I'll never forget, and this was very early on, like when I was first like just starting to study all this and kind of get into it, I had someone come and stay at our home who was diabetic. And they said this to me. They said, okay, if I start getting funny, that means my blood sugar has dropped and I need to eat sugar. It was when we had our wedding business. So we had weddings at our wedding center. I'd renovated an old property, an old Catholic property that was actually practically condemned from the mold and asbestos, but we renovated it and had like, I don't know, 800 weddings before I moved. And there was a person who came to the wedding and she's like, okay, if I get funny, you need to give me sugar. And I'm like, well, I don't eat sugar. Like we don't have sugar. And I found something. She says Oreos, just anything. And I'm like scrambling, trying to think of what do I have except just straight sugar. But when she said that, I was like, now wait a minute. Why would you take sugar, which is not good for the body, and your body is only designed to have a teaspoon of sugar in the blood, glucose in the blood at a time, by the way. Why don't you just reduce the insulin? Like that just only made no sense to me. That meant she had too much insulin, not enough sugar. But insulin isn't natural. I mean, your body does make insulin. Your body makes all of that in your pancreas. But it was just not those kind of things is what set me on fire to find an answer. Because I'm like, well, now can't we do that the other direction? Can't we reduce the need for insulin naturally and, re-strengthen the pancreas and then let the body, start healing itself and give it what it needs? And so the upstream approach, that bird's eye approach, is really what I encourage all of us to take. And I certainly hope that I'm making this easy enough, but Like iodine is just a mineral. It comes out of the ground. Calcium's a mineral. It comes out of the ground, no matter what the Dairy Council has convinced you to do, suck out of a cow. I don't know who the first person was who latched up, but I think it's weird. But like, it's just a mineral and it comes out of the ground. And iron's a mineral and it comes out of the ground. And we can eat a bunch of rocks, which we can't actually do, even though that's primarily what's sold at every health food store is ground up rocks. But or we can eat the plant. And that plant has the iron, it has the iodine to help balance the thyroid. It has the selenium for the skin. It has the zinc for testosterone. It has all these minerals. And what are minerals? They're the sparks of life. That's what minerals are. They spark activity in the body. Magnesium sparks the muscles to relax. Calcium sparks the muscles to contract. We need both, right? So iron sparks to make sure that we can get oxygen in all of our cells. So when we take that bird's eye view and we understand what's going on in the body, it does help remove the fear. So yes, when I started and I went to, looking at how the synapses work and what's going on in the brain, I learned I need healthy fats. I need healthier fats than what I'm eating. And I need some of these foods that would have later because they were saying, well, eat more spinach and eat more bananas, right? But that actually is because there's GABA in both of those and in walnuts. So as we've taken that step back, it's been really exciting.
Oh, I almost got out of words there because I'm just, my brain is just firing up right now. I'm looking at you, I'm listening. It's quite a bit of a connection that you kind of put in that nice little chunk of information. One is you figured out, first of all, you were put into medication. And by the way, there's a reason I'm asking. My
Sure.
best friend's son actually just started having epilepsies a couple of months back, and he
Mhm.
was put on medication. So I'm hoping maybe today's show we can give him some guidance, and certainly we can
Sure.
connect him with you because medications may work, but they might do also damage. There's other side effects to them, and so on and so forth. And if we can go the natural way, is always the best way. And by the way, it's not just my best friends. I know other people out there. I've had friends who actually had recurrent epilepsies that I've seen personally in front of me,
Yeah.
and they were again in drugs, and so they just have to pop the pills. The day they don't take the pill is where they actually get those episodes, and it's a painful stuff. But the connection between the neuro stuff and the thyroid, that's another big problem because I think thyroid is a huge issue,
It is.
especially in both man and female, but mainly,
Yes.
the women have a lot of it. My wife, for example, has an actual, is it hyper? No, it's hypo. So
Hypo.
she, yeah, it's not working as it should be. But here's the thing: you said T4. Now we hear two
Yeah.
T2 and T3 is what they test for, but not T4. That sounds weird,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
so it's amazing that how does that even work? And it is triggered by the neurons, right? That's what I'm gathering from your description. So if we fix the neuroscience stuff, we can get a nice firing into the thyroid. The thyroid operates, the T4s are kicking. And now you just said iodine, which was depleted from our salts, which they used to have,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
so the salts don't have that, but now it's available in other places. You talk about the food for the brain. I mean, again, we you didn't mention anything about omega 3, but certainly walnuts is a known thing. I mean, it does look like a brain. They say
Yeah.
the
It
food
does.
looks
Yep.
like the
Yeah.
organs, right? It does look like a mini brain, right? Two hemispheres and all that, but it is
Yes.
rich. Fat. Again, there's a discussion about cholesterol. We just had a show about that. That we were told bad for you, LDLs, all this stuff. Now we're discovering it's good for the brain. The whole brain is fat. You need more fat, healthy fat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like that's why I say I'm like, whoa, like, I mean, I just got slapped a couple of times listening to you,
Yeah.
with all
Yeah.
the
No.
information,
Mm.
misinformation, and or it's a thing. I think that's what it is. It's lack of information of the basics. You went
Yes.
to the cellular level. You mentioned the mitochondria. No, no. What did you say? You talked about the cells, and I think you
Mhm.
mentioned the
Yeah.
technical word, microbiome. I think, so it's powerful stuff. I mean, the cell level works, and everything else,
Yeah.
operates. You talked about greens, and a lot of people don't like to drink greens because they're not sweet. You talk about
Mhm.
diabetes, and I'm almost sure that diabetes now. I mean, it's a known fact that it's the dementia is diabetes 3, whatever type 3. Now,
Mhm.
dementia is brain. So again, going back to the neuroscience and the
Yeah.
neurology and the brain concept here, and how it all can connect. I want to know. I'm just curious. Like, you said that it's easy to get rid of it, the type 2 diabetes. I mean,
Yes.
people are watching. Again, my best friend is also diabetic. My mom was diabetic, and I might even be pre-diabetic. I mean, because at a certain age, I mean, we have to be careful, right? you know, we try to do our best with fitness and good stuff, detox, all that, but we might not be doing it right. So what is your formula? How do we connect all these and really just in a simple way? Because it sounds like it's not that complex to get rid
Right.
of it, reverse it, fix it with very simple holistic approach. Now, granted,
Okay.
yeah.
I
Uh
have
oh,
my
she's got
notes
she's got
now.
she's got the
I
yellow
have my
card.
notes because I'm like, okay, I need to make sure I cover all this to make sure your listeners have some ideas.
Go for
So
it.
just Yeah, so just remember, I'm not a medical doctor, and this is not medical advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. So now that I got that disclaimer out, but let's explain. So epilepsy, let's just talk seizures. We have seizures right now rampant across the world ever since COVID. We've had more epileptic seizures and seizures and Tourette's than we have had traditionally. Why? There is actually a reason, and this is another part of neurological health. So let me break it down simple. The nervous system, right, makes neurotransmitters. The endocrine system makes hormones. Those are two different things. And so the nervous system, I'll just show you what the nervous system. So here's a nervous system. This is a big pen, but we're going to pretend it is a nervous system. So the outside of that big pen of that nervous system is oil. Whatever fats you ate today or yesterday over the last 30 years, that is what has made the myelin sheath that nerve, that little ink is running through. So whatever fats you eat are creating the nervous system of your entire body. So all these hundreds of miles of nerves, more than that, in the body are made out of the fats you're eating. Not only the nerves, but every single cell in the body, right? Your cells are lipid, water, lipid. You've got two layers of lipid for every one layer of water on the outside membrane of the cell. That says a lot about how much you need really healthy omegas. And you need far more omega 3s right now because most people on this planet have way too much omega 6s. We're supposed to have that 3-to-1 ratio. So we're not going to concentrate on this, but I do want to mention it because if we're talking seizures, there is a very important factor that we need to realize. Neurotransmitters are dependent on different things to be created. And I'm going to focus on GABA since that's what we're talking about, since we have your friend who has some epilepsy going on here or some seizures. GABA is a neurotransmitter that is primarily made in the gut. But two things have to be balanced in the gut for that neurotransmitter, that chemical, to be made. That nervous system makes GABA in the gut. Most of it's in the gut. Only when there is a proper potential of hydrogen, pH, and enough diverse microbiome. Now, this makes total sense. Microbiome, those are all the little bacteria. You're more bacterial than you are human, just so you all know. You have more bacterial cells than you have human cells, but bacteria are what break your fiber down. Bacteria, you can't break fiber down. Your body cannot. That's why it just comes out in your stool. But bacteria break down fiber, and that's how they are able to create vitamins for you. They build things in the body. They're incredible. Bacteria are absolutely amazing. They are fighting off disease every minute of the day, every second. Bacteria, you have far more healthy bacteria than you do bad bacteria. So why did we have more seizures during COVID? Because we were slathering our bodies. Well, I wasn't. Many people were slathering their bodies in hand sanitizers, right, to kill all the bacteria because they were quote unquote fighting a virus. And so they were killing off all of our healthy bacteria. Well, it's going to take years for most people to restore a balanced microbiome. So the GABA that's naturally made by the body can simply not be made because we don't have a balanced microbiome. And so two things that will help create more GABA is a healthy pH. So stop eating so much acidic food and get more balance. I have a free ebook on my website, zuzuunleashed.com. So you can download the pH book. It's an ebook I wrote many years ago. But anyhow, so balancing that and then diversifying the fiber for your microbiome. And microbiome is a huge thing. I could talk right now for 7 hours about the microbiome, but we don't have that kind of time. You'll need to sleep in a few hours. But the microbiome is very vast, very important. And most people are very unaware that when you take a round of antibiotics, it can take almost 18 months to 2 years to restore your microbiome. Same thing when you're doing, a lot of A lot. There's a lot of things that kill off your microbiome, and hand sanitizers and hand sanitizing soap and all the quick, the terrible sprays, those all do it also. So one thing I would recommend is a lot more diverse fiber. That does not mean you go get some fiber powder from the health food store. That means you actually eat a salad. Oh my word, right? You eat vegetables and you eat nuts and you eat seeds and you eat things that have fiber in them, right? Because that fiber diversity. So if you have a salad with 3 vegetables, that's nice. If you have a salad with 17 vegetables, like your bacteria is going to go crazy in the gut, and it can restore a lot of balance to the immune system, and to the neurotransmitters. So GABA, why we're seeing so much more deficiency right now is, I believe, according to the Karen thought pattern, it's because we simply have killed off so much of our microbiome diversity, and we need that in order for GABA to be created in the gut. The thyroid, T4 is made. That's what the thyroid makes. The thyroid makes T4. That is the hormone of the thyroid. It's useless. It like doesn't do anything. It can't do anything except it goes to the liver and is converted to T3. Now that you hear a lot about. Now T3 is then escorted through the whole body, and because it's a hormone, you need bile, you need all of your, good cholesterol. You need that in order for these hormones to be, escorted to the cells and then absorbed how they're needed. And so T4 converts to T3. But if you don't have 4 molecules of iodine, you can never make 3. You can't get converted to T3. So T4, tyrosine, and 4 molecules of iodine is what's needed in the body to even make the thyroid hormone. And then that goes to liver, converts to T3, and now you have lots of energy. So when you're taking iodine and you're able to build up your iodine in the body, and again, make sure you're getting tested, then boom, you're going to have enough iodine to make T4, and then you'll make T3. Our iodine testing is really primitive because it works. We just use a nascent form of iodine in an alcohol base on your wrist. We just put a drop on the wrist. If it absorbs right away, that's because your body's like, oh, I need this. And then if it just sits on the wrist, you don't need iodine. It's so simple. It's what works. It works. Oh my gosh, I see this all the time. And so for myself, I realize when I travel, I need more iodine because I'm up in the plane and I'm exposed to a lot more EMFs, and that can actually deplete some of the body of iodine. Again, according to Karen and ZuZu. So I am both. But anyhow, and so that is just what we have found, and it has worked tremendous. And then the liver. Honestly, the answer for the thyroid converting T4 to T3 is the liver. The answer for type 2 diabetes and even type 1 diabetes is also found in the liver, because the liver is your chemical factory. Trust me, like it's amazing. It does hundreds, if not thousands, of processes now that we're finding, and that liver, it needs to be kept clean and happy. And we do have an issue with our liver, not only from the chemicals we're eating, because most people don't actually read the label. They just eat anything that looks pretty, which comes from food coloring, and tastes amazing, which comes from natural flavorings and natural flavors and natural spices and all that they can hide thousands of products in. But we aren't paying attention to what we're putting in our liver. And even our emotions go to our liver. The liver is the chemical factory, and our emotions are chemicals. And so the liver, when we can clean the liver, it's going to help us maintain a healthy thyroid. It's going to help us with our diabetes. And so there's actually a product one of my friends developed many, many years ago. He found out he had type 1 diabetes, and he has never taken insulin. Instead, he developed a drink that he drinks every morning. It's all herbs. And he has drunk that every morning for a couple decades now. And we've actually had several of our friends who have type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and anybody. I put this on and I have everybody take it. It's wonderful. But it's a set of herbs that has helped a lot of people clean the liver and maintain really good, healthy liver. And so that there are things out there, but on the whole diabetes front, the type 2 diabetes, in order for insulin to be absorbed into the cell, right, to take, and insulin's escorting the glucose into the cell, you actually need chromium. And this is the major missing part of all diabetes. Most people don't have chromium anymore because it was absolutely refined out of our grains, decades ago. Well, chromium it's a needed element in order to get the insulin to take the glucose into the cell. So obviously we need more chromium. We recommend a glucose tolerant factor chromium, a GTF chromium, but you can get chromium in cinnamon. I mean, if people don't want to take supplements, don't take a lot more cinnamon. Eat cinnamon. Matter of fact, I have a fun story. I was working with a king, by the way, out of he was a king of the village in one of his villages on the Big Island of Samoa. And he had come to America for a meeting, and I was attending the meeting with him, and we were helping the health of his village. And he had complained about how much diabetes there was. And I said, "Well, what are you doing for cinnamon? What kind of access do you have to cinnamon?" And he froze. He said, "What?" I said, "Well, what kind of access do you have to cinnamon?" He said, "Our whole village was overcome with cinnamon. I made sure we burnt all of it. It was taking over everything." And I simply shared, "Well, Mr. Chief," right? It was a chief, not a king. I said, "You actually kind of did some demise there, because if you're walking barefoot on the earth, you're just frequency. You're just alive and you're pumping frequency into the earth. The earth will literally spout out what you need to heal. Trust me, go home, look at all the weeds you consider in your backyard. Stop spraying your backyard. Go and look what they are, because his tribe was all barefoot, of course, because it's Samoa. And boom, the cinnamon was coming up by hordes to help them reverse their diabetes. And they didn't realize it. So, and by the way, on this note, I just have to throw this in there. I got a phone call from a good friend of mine that I haven't talked to in years. And she's like, "You are never going to believe what my husband just did. He has had a lot of pain from a back surgery, and he was outside, and he's a big fancy construction guy, like just buff and like, not the health kind of looking guy, but his wife is, and she's one of our students. Well, she said that her big buffy husband was in the backyard, and he found all of this particular brand of lettuce. It was a strain of lettuce, the prickly lettuce. And he remembered hearing me say that you need to look at what's coming up in your backyard. And so he ate this prickly lettuce, and he started eating a lot of it. And he's like, instantly, the pain was reduced. He's like, "Oh my gosh." He ran in the house. He's like, "Sweetheart, you aren't going to believe this." And they literally went out and like were collecting, they have many acres, and they were collecting the prickly lettuce from everywhere, doing their research. And they're like, "You are not going to believe it." And I'm like, "Yes, I will." Because the same thing happened when I moved here. I got to know the previous owner, and I said, "So I kind of noticed this might be happening with your body, because I found a lot of this particular herb." And she's like, "How did you know?" The earth, we are so connected, and we simply don't realize it. You and I are connected, even if you're in Dubai and I'm here. It doesn't matter. Frequencies are everything. And our bodies just want to heal. And what are atoms? They're frequencies. And so the frequency of magnesium relaxes the body, like I mentioned earlier, right? The frequencies of chromium, which is found in your cinnamon, is what helps that cell receptor site to open up so we can bring insulin and glucose into the cell. This is not hard. It's not hard. It is fun. It's exciting. It's enticing. And when we learn, it takes the fear out of us and gives us more hope. So I wanted to just add a little bit about the T3, T4 conversion in the liver, as well as the GABA not being made because there's not enough diverse microbiome and perhaps the wrong pH. I wanted to add a couple of those things in there because that is part of my job is education. I just love it. It's just my desire to help educate and inspire. And you can go to your doctor. I don't care at all. Please find the most amazing medical doctors that will hear you, because they are out there. I know them. My phone is full of them, right? My phone is full of medical doctors who love the human body and want others to learn. You're going to find some of those that you probably wouldn't have liked even in elementary school or high school. You're going to find them. But you're going to find a lot of amazing people that are excited to share.
Dude, I'm listening to you. Like, what it boils down to really is understanding how the body functions at the cellular level, as you said. And once you understand what everything, like the functions of every single aspect of the body, it's very easy to tackle, what's needed, right? But unfortunately, that's not something we learn in school. That's not something that's being given to us in mass media. In fact, I think it's the contrary. We get everything wrong because it's all marketing, because it's all product driven, right? And so we get
Yes,
the
it
whole
is.
story, bad, and so therefore we don't even know what's working for us, what should be. To your point, I mean, the solutions are around us. I mean, it's natural. I mean, cinnamon,
Yeah.
hello. I mean, it's
Yeah.
good for your brain. That's
Hello.
what they say. It's good for your brain, right? They say eat a lot of
Yes.
cinnamon, right? You know,
Yes.
now I know it's chromium. But
Yep.
it's like,
Yep.
sometimes you don't understand these things. I mean, I got closer to these discussions and to expertise such as yours, now I am a little bit more knowledgeable, and I still have a long way to go, but it makes a big difference. Now another thing you talked about, the way the T4 goes into the liver and it gets kind of converted into a T3, eventually it
Yes.
becomes something that's working, and therefore
Yes.
the glucose and the insulin can be transporting the glucose into the cells efficiently, so there's no problem. Now you talk about detoxing the liver. We hear today that we have fatty liver for kids. That's something we haven't heard in the past. It is unbelievable in terms of what we see, what we hear today, and how we're
Hmm.
experiencing things that we haven't experienced in the past. So, so detoxification. I mean, you talked about green juices and green juicing, and some of the formulas that you can have in the morning, as opposed to the carbohydrates and all the sweet stuff that we have, in our traditional breakfast, or all the breakfast of the champs, the wrong orange
Yes.
juice with the with
Don't eat that.
but right, I mean, we get, like, by the way, I have to say I'm blessed right now. Like, I can actually literally go to the store and press a button and squeeze my own orange juice fresh. That's not
Yes.
something you get in I have to say, in the US. It's very difficult to find one. I mean, I enjoy those when I'm on cruise ships. I go to the spa and I give me a fresh, or you can go to a juice place like the ones you owned, but that's different. But in general, you get everything out of the box of the can. It's concentrated. It's a lot of sugar. And that's the other thing. We're over bombarding our bodies with sugars and the wrong stuff, the wrong oils. You're talking about real healthy fat. I mean, we were told don't eat butter, you know,
Oh,
eat margarine, or some other, I don't know, the oils that we use to fry stuff. I mean, fried food is good for you. I mean, it's not good. I mean, we know that now. Be careful with eggs, because cholesterol. And of course, we have different types of eggs. We have, the pasteurized, or raised rather, chicken versus the stuff that is factory, built in a cage, whatever. So we have the problem. That's the thing. I mean, I know population is increasing. We certainly have to feed a lot of people in this world. I get it. We also have a whole bunch of people that live in cities. I mean, we live in hives. I mean, human
hmm.
hives, right? So we
Yep.
have towers and stuff. So there's very little land to produce the essential, food. And when you want to buy that stuff, it's more expensive than the wrong stuff, right? A fresh breakfast is actually more expensive than actually a bad breakfast. So that's just one thing. Also, we have traditions of foods that we don't even need. We have things that the elements we can't even, pronounce in our food. All these things, which means our liver is talking about, it's a beautiful factory working day in day out to get us healthy. I mean, I do some fasting, so fasting works. You give enough break to your liver to actually operate and get cleansed up a little bit. And now we know you fast a little bit more, few hours a day. I mean, I'm not talking intermittent. I mean, if you do like 14 hours, 15 hours, that should, be enough. Of course, granted, you don't get all the junk back in there, but alcohol is another thing. It's a cultural thing, right? We drink alcohol for fun. And not cool if you don't drink alcohol yet. It is destroying your liver, right? So these are some of the things. Now, also you mentioned something about magnesium and calcium. Now, and we need both, right? Uh, so even those, there's different forms of magnesium. When do you need, and calcium? Like, for example, it looks like our brain, at least what I'm studying or I'm learning about in articles, that the brain doesn't know the difference. So sometimes the body is actually depleting our calcium from our bones without knowing. Is that a fact or a myth, or is that, there's something we can do about that, where we need to compensate so our body does not take our bones? Because you mentioned something about scoliosis. We can talk about that too. I
Mhm.
don't know if that's related. I think it is, but again, I'm not the expert. So let's talk about that briefly, because I think I've covered a few things here. But I mean, there's so much I can talk to you about here. I
I
just
know
want
it's
as much to get
fun.
to it.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. Just to clarify, again, the liver is important for the thyroid and diabetes, but they're different. And so when the liver is converting T4 to T3, it's going out in cholesterol and bile and It's a hormone giving you energy, where diabetes also, because insulin's a hormone, insulin is needed to go to the liver. I mean, insulin is needed with chromium and glucose to go into the cell. And that is what gets rid of the glucose, so we don't have a need for more insulin. A lot of time insulin resistance is because there's just so much insulin pouring into the body because you're eating way too much sugar that the cell just turns off and ignores it. Then we have insulin resistance. So I just want to be sure there's two different things. But yes, let's go back. Food is medicine, period. And it's because it's electric. If you actually look at the bone structures, we're told that we need to suck out of a cow to get calcium, and that your bones are made of calcium. Here's something exciting. It's all atomic. And so the frequency of calcium has been shown to trigger the blood marrow and the red blood cells in the bone marrow to strengthen the bones, to make stronger bones. That's a whole different subject. That's not sucking out a cow. That's getting calcium, which is electric, right? It's an electrical signature of calcium that is triggering the bones to do that. Frequencies do everything. You are all affected by frequencies all of the time. Just like a remote control car, you're just sending frequencies through the air. So if you consider what you can do with a box and then a car, how can we possibly think we are not affected by our cell phones going up against our head, or, oh, the thyroid? Oh, yeah, we don't want to talk about that, do we? Yes, we do. And how can we possibly think that sitting in front of a smart meter on the outside of your bedroom wall isn't going to affect their neurons that are forming in the brain or in the gut? How can we possibly think that sitting at Starbucks or any coffee place with, 40 people on their cell phones is not going to disrupt the electrical patterns of our body? How can we not understand that the dirty electricity in the walls of our home ever since the 70s, when we went to CFL everything and smart things and everything else, we went to nonlinear loads at that point. But how can we not understand that is going to affect the electricity of our body? Heck, I can put capacitors in someone's home and they go from shaking like this from Parkinson's to shaking hardly at all. It's just eliminating some of the dirty electricity. So understand, and please all of you do some research on the electrical environment of the body. Please do not use traditional search engines. If you know what I'm talking about, you want to go in the back door, because they don't always want you to know this information. How many years did I go to Verizon and I'm like, okay, what is the lowest EMF phone? And they're like, our phones don't give out EMFs. And I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Okay, whatever. So just learn that, because that's important. But we do, and I would like to address people living in, I love how you call them people hives, right? And beehives of people, because you actually do have room to grow a phenomenal amount of food in your high-rise apartment. People aren't aware of what you can grow at home and the nutrients that you can get and the benefits you can get from home. You can live off of sprouts, period. You can live off of sprouts for decades. You can live off of sprouts. Sprouts have everything, right? They're going to diversify the microbiome. I'm not telling you to do that, because who doesn't love to go out to a restaurant and try new food? But let's go back to animals who are traditionally not having three-course meals 3 times a day. Neither did we. We never ate 3 meals a day. That's ridiculous. We only started doing that when General Mills and all of them popped up wanting to sell cereals in the morning. We had an 11 o'clock dinner, because you'd go out in the farm and you go take care of the animals, you go take care of everything else, you come in and you're starving. So between 11 and 1, you're eating a really big meal, the biggest meal of the day. That's traditionally how it should be. And then we had some supper at night. We had a little soup and some salad or some bread or whatever we want. And bread wasn't very popular because it took 24 hours to make a loaf of bread back then, because we're not designed to live off of grain. The animals are, we are not. And so if you go back historically and look at how our ancestors and our great 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 ancestors actually ate, very different from today. And so was the disease that shows up in their archaeological digs, right? We find, when we look at archaeological evidence, that almost all of the cities that they uncover have their main fire pit, right? Their celebration area. And many of them had grave-like dug holes out. They had holes dug like graves around their fire pits for a reason. Because when someone was sick, you brought them to the fire to heat them up and burn stuff out and to ground with the earth. Again, the earth is the deliverer of all negative ions. So anyone living in a beehive, in a high rise, right? You really do want to look at two things. You want to get a growing tower. You want to start growing some of your natural foods, growing some of those herbs, and every window in your home can turn into a growing factory. You can easily do that, and that's very important. And you want to look at grounding, but you need to make sure that the outlet you're plugging your grounding unit in or your grounding mat in is actually grounded, because you'll be surprised how many of them aren't. But your buildings are grounded. Every industrial building is grounded. In some countries, it's mandated that you have capacitors in the homes to prevent dirty electricity, because the dangers of dirty electricity are very rampant. If you imagine it, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, 1,000 times per second is going to do something to your body, and that's called charging your body. So discharging the body by touching wet earth or going in a creek or being in the rain, right? Touching the ground, not that you can probably go into most backyards and ground, because so much dirty electricity is pushed into the earth because we use such a high amount of nonlinear loads that the Y system in America can't handle it. The Y system in Europe was changed to accommodate more electricity going back to the substations, which is a whole nother topic. But I just want you to kind of visualize that you're electric. We're electric. We're electric. And if we don't discharge, we get charged up and things don't operate correctly in our body. And it can be as simple as taking a walk in nature and touching the earth or hugging a tree. I don't care what you do, but getting out into Mother Nature, or sleeping on a grounding mat, or sleeping with a grounding cord around the ankle, whatever that might be. We do need to recognize that we're humans and we came from teepees out in the sunshine and we worked outside all day long. Like, that's traditionally how it was and how it can still be. We can still go outside barefoot and strengthen our feet and get all those electrons up into our body through our bare feet or cotton socks. And we can reset our nervous system by looking up towards the sun first thing in the morning, becoming familiar with where the sun is throughout the day, resetting that pineal axis. Like, I know this might be overwhelming for some people, but please don't let it be. This is just me. I'm just Karen. I'm Karen Zemer from Wind Lake, Wisconsin, right? I had no idea when I was walking down to school every day down West Wind Lake Road that I'd be doing this or having 12 kids or helping, help people understand their body, but I'm just human. I'm just like you. I just went down a lot of rabbits hole when it came to how the body works and and it's been amazing. But this isn't, if I can figure it out, so can you, is what I'm trying to say. I'm just me. I'm not a phenomenon like that movie, right? Like, wouldn't that be fun? But I'm not. I'm just me. And the body is just you. And if you aren't able to wake up in the morning and like love your liver and thank your heart for pumping, right? And thank that little stomach under the rib cage and like love your guts, then we just want to refocus a little bit, because where focus goes, energy flows. So probably the number one thing is to drink more water. You're all electric, and water conducts electricity. And if you're waking up and the first thing you're putting in your body is coffee, that's probably not mold free, and it's probably not organic, and it's probably made with some kind of crappy water from whatever your city's thinking is available for you to drink. And then God only knows what chemicals you're sticking in that. If that's the first thing you're putting into your body in the morning, we got to revisit life and go, wait, I'm a water-based human being. 70% of some of my organs are water, 80% of others. Like, we are electrical beings that need water. And just because you weren't told before now, this is just a time I'm going to encourage you. And again, everything I'm saying is for entertainment. It's just stuff that I've learned. I've been able to work with a lot of people. It's been an incredible journey. I've been able to see miracles happen. I mean, what people would call miracles, but it is just the science of how the body works. And I wish I had more time to share so many of them with you, because it's inspiring and exciting. But I'm just here to encourage everyone to understand more about how their body works and to get excited, because there's a lot of hope to be had. Our kids with fatty liver, gosh, look what we're feeding our kids. Look at the food we are putting in our children. Where is the liver? How is the liver supposed to break any of that down? The liver's got a pathway. We call it the P450 pathway, because to say it is like 45 syllables and I can't pronounce it. But anyhow, I probably can, but it's in my book. Anyhow, so there's, this P450 pathway, kind of think of it as a conveyor belt behind the scenes at an airport. So all of a sudden our luggage is gone, and we're going to see it in Dubai next month, right? And so it's just gone, or next week. And where does it go? And how does it get there? That's what the liver does. Inside the liver is literally like a conveyor belt, and it's assigning things to all the chemicals you're putting in with every single meal, and or that you're breathing in because you're alive and you're breathing chemicals because we just have to love our governments, which like to spray things. But anyhow, and so we're breathing in chemicals from exhaustion and everything from our car exhaust, et cetera. That all goes somewhere in the liver. If there's not a place for it, the liver just stores it in fat. This is pretty simple. The liver's like, hey, I'll get to that later. Oh, hey, I'm gonna get that later. This is also why you have a bunch of people that are short-tempered and angry and losing their temper all the time because your emotions are chemicals. And so if you've had birthday cake, for the last 4 days and you're eating hot dogs, you're drinking crap, from your local coffee center and you're eating out every single day and you're just too busy with work to do anything, so you're munching down on horrible snack bars. If you are literally just filling your liver with chemicals and then you get home and the house is a mess, you don't know where your kids are, and your husband's in the man cave and you lose it, it's because your liver's like, hey, Wanda, I got plenty going on down here. You can just deal with those emotions on your own. And then now we're going to get treated for depression. No, that's the last thing you need is more chemicals in the body. What you need is a liver cleanse. So yes, go get milk thistle and go to your local, support your local health food stores and get some good liver detoxes. We have some on our website. I have an online store just for fun, but you can go there and learn about products and order it wherever you want. I don't care. I'm just about education. So get the liver clean, but big wake up call for everyone. There's one way, the major way to detoxify the organ called your liver is to stop putting toxins in. So please look at what's on your table or your desk or in the car with you right now and be like, are you toxic or not? You probably are, and don't eat it. I do want to add a little quick thing. I have to add this because I heard you say it. You implied, oh, it's just so much more money to eat that way. And I am here to burst that bubble because your apostat is a little organ at the base of the brain and it controls your appetite. So, apostat controls
Hmm.
your appetite. It does this by measuring the nutrients in the blood. So, if you eat an organic apple or you eat a salad, you're going to have a lot of nutrients in the blood and you're going to be hungry. Okay, I'm done eating. I'll wait for a couple of more hours. Like you're done. You're done. You have all these nutrients in the blood. If you eat something from a fast food joint and it's going to be mostly dead or fried or whatever, you're going to be hungry pretty quick. And you need like pounds of that compared to a 6 ounce or 8 ounce salad. Why? Because nutrients in the bloodstream is what your apostat is always testing, and it will turn off your appetite when you have enough nutrients. So please I challenge you. Like I really do challenge you. Go home, buy a couple of organic apples. They're 20 cents more a pound. Get over it. Like, hello, do you know what you're going to be saving by not sucking out a, yeah, stop eating all your dairy. Please, there's nobody on the planet who needs it unless you have Crohn's disease and then only temporarily. But like, stop eating dairy. It's weird. You don't need anything. You don't need mucus and you don't need gluten in your body. You just don't. If you don't know how to eat without gluten or dairy, learn because you're going to feel better. You're going to make love better. I'm 58. I'm 58. I went through menopause years ago, didn't even know it, never had a hot flash, right? I'm 58. I don't take any medication and I haven't for 38 years, whenever it was that I got rid of epilepsy, right? When I was 21. So there we go. So 37 years. And I don't need any hormones at all. They're fully balanced. I don't need anything. Like my everything shows up nice on all my tests. I'm physically fit. I lubricate very well. I have plenty of libido and like life is great. And I'm just here to say it works because 40 years ago, when I had my first green drink, about 2 years after that, I thought to myself, someday I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this for a long time so that when I'm old, like 50 or 60, whatever, I feel great, right? I can be on a stage and I can say, hey, this works. And so I was keynote at a expo a few weeks ago, and I was on a big stage with a lot of people, and I was like, "So here's the stage, and here I am to say, 40 years later, this works, and it's never too late to start the day over." So yeah, green drinks, you can do a green drink, and bitters are amazing. When you start getting used to bitter foods, more bitter foods, your digestion's gonna change so fast. So it's okay to have auricula, put some olive oil on it, right? It's great stuff. And in your green smoothie, I don't care if you want to throw a little something in there, some pineapple, or I throw avocado instead of a banana because I like the creaminess. But I don't care if you do green smoothies. I don't even do them every day anymore. I love them. But you want to do more vegetables than fruit, and you want to bring in your nuts and seeds, and you want to bring in more omega-3s and reduce the omega-6s. These are very key principles to longevity, a phenomenal skin, right? Feeling great. And I can only attest to this because I live it and I've helped thousands, if not, I'm sure tens of thousands by now live it. And that's just my message.
Well, dude, first of all, just the energy alone, I can. That's an indicator right there, because a lot of people that are not very, I would say, healthy, they have very little energy to work with, right? Because they're already
Yeah.
depleted, right? I love what you said about the EMFs and the phones and the grounding and the electric current that we have in our cities and stuff. As a matter of fact, to your point, I mean, listen, I'm sitting in the studio right now. I'm surrounded with lights and screens and stuff, so I'm getting EMF'd right now, big time. You know,
Yeah.
but I do like to walk outside and kind of barefoot
Good.
and do all my stuff. So I try to do as much as I can. I do go to nature. I love outdoors whenever I get a chance. But you're right. It's difficult, but it's not. It's just how difficult we make it. Because I think we can get in the car, get out to nature, and just let it all out and come back. At least you get a second recharge back, and well, I guess you just discharge everything out in nature and come
Discharge.
back
Yeah.
fresh.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is. But it's funny. People don't realize that. I mean, to your point, where now we're living with our phones, people sleep next to them. In I mean, what you mentioned, sleeping with, I don't know, a discharge, cable or cord or something.
Yeah.
That's like being in a Faraday. It's a Faraday cage concept. Is that what I'm talking about? Is that what you're referring to,
You
or it just?
can, yeah. You could do the Faraday concept, but you also, they sell, if you go online and look at grounding cords or grounding mats, you can get a nice grounding mat for $100 that you put under your sheet. Make sure you only sleep in cotton. I actually just wrote an article on sleeping naked. I should send it to you because it's super fun. But you should always sleep, I say naked, of course, but then in cotton. So always have cotton sheets or linen. And if you put that grounding mat either right on top of it, but you don't need to if it's underneath that sheet. And if you have a bare part of your body exposed to that, that's going to ground you and you're going to feel it. You are going to sleep better. I've had people that have such poor sleep. I've actually had them throw the breaker in that section of the home where they're sleeping so there's no electricity coming in. And by the way, that is one of the biggest things for epilepsy. I have children that I've worked with for decades, so many children that have had seizures, and if they turn off the Wi-Fi at night and if they throw the breaker, they sleep through the night with no more seizures. It has happened over and over and over again. I've had grown women take the headboard and put the headboard in the middle of the room, and so their head is not by the dirty electricity coming off the walls of their home, and they stop having seizures. Epilepsy, anything neurological, we need to look at the electrical environment. And so grounding the body, but please, 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 pinky promise you will go and get a little adapter and test to make sure that your outlet is properly grounded. It's like $8 at a hardware store, and then test it. If it's grounded, plug yourself in and sleep better, because grounding at home is important. There are some countries where the surgeons come home after working in the hospital all day and they walk in the home and there is a discharge plate, a metal plate in built into their home that is grounded so they can check their mail and just work right there and discharge from being at the hospital all day. And like for people like you and I, of course I work with lights all around and I've got cell phones and we've got computers, but I use chlorella. Chlorella is very, very strengthening to the cell membrane. Iodine is strengthening to the cell membrane. Spirulina is helpful. Plants are very helpful. Plants will definitely absorb a lot of the EMFs. So certain plants, not all. And so just you all being here right now, like all of you that are still listening, who haven't turned it off and thought I was insane, all of you who are still with us right now, you've just been given like a lot of steps that I took decades to understand and make easy because I want you to feel better. You don't ever have to reach out to me. You never have to come to Lily Fields or take my courses. But I would love for all of you to wake up tomorrow morning and drink 2 quarts of water before 2. And I would love for you to start looking at minerals and eating more of them in your plants. And I would love for you to cut back on the dairy and the sugar because I can't guarantee or promise my first child because that would be dangerous. But I'm just like, you are going to see some results that you haven't had in a long time. Just remember, it's taken you decades to get to the point of health that you're at, and it will take weeks. It'll actually take 3 months to get mucus and gluten out of the cells of the body. So you will see immediate results, usually within a couple of days of making some changes. But you also might start detoxing and release some of those toxins that are stored in the fatty liver, that are stored in the fat tissues of the body, that are stored in adipose tissue. So don't be upset or worried if you get sick when you start making these changes. It's because you are releasing toxins that have been conveniently stored in your body, and now your lymphatic system and your stools can remove them. So make sure you're having a couple of bowel movements a day, not a week, a day. That means you're not constipated. If you're having one a day or one every few days, you are constipated. We must eliminate, we must water our bodies, and we need to mineralize them in order to literally enjoy living with the sparks of life.
Well, thank you. It's a lot, and I do have a couple more nuggets that I want to extract from what you said. One is you said people that are in the buildings can grow stuff. Any tips or something in your side that they can actually get through to help them at least grow some of the basic elements of nutrients, because you said minerals and stuff. I mean, even you can buy stuff in the store. I mean, you have to find the right organic. That's the question, right? Because a lot of stuff that is just pesticides, healthy, are not going to be
Yes.
healthy for you, right? But that's what they say. I mean, to your point, by the way, I love it. You're right, because when you eat something that's real, it fills you up
Mhm.
quick. And I love what you
Yes.
explained about the how the nutrients are being scanned, and with your sensors in the, what is it, Ebsteel? Is that
The
what do you call
apostat.
it?
Yep.
Apostat.
Apostat.
Yeah.
New word, apostat.
Apostat.
Say it with me, everybody. Apostat.
Apostat appetite. That's it.
Yep.
But see,
Apostat
so that
appetite.
so that kind of, and by the way, the bitter the better. I mean, these are
Yes.
expressions I think we should start getting familiar with, because it makes a difference for us. And discharging, getting these ground things in the house. I mean, these are some of the tools that we can, and frankly, it doesn't look like it's very expensive stuff that you can have around you to help you. I mean, the idea of switching, that's actually something that's a simple thing. It's like just before you go sleep, you switch, that you flip that thing off, and you just don't have any action. By the way, I have an actually EMF scanner. It's like bought it
Yeah.
from Amazon. It
Yeah.
was
Aren't they
cheap.
great?
and and
Yeah.
and
So
you'll be
cool. I know.
surprised. I did a few TikToks like a couple of years back, and showing like some of this stuff. I mean, your microwave, your
Mm,
outlets. To your point about
mhm.
outlets, I mean, that stuff is like fire. I mean, no one talks about outlets. Maybe you talk about microwave and stuff. Your fridge. I mean, whatever there's some power,
Yes.
there that thing goes up like crazy. So
Yeah.
imagine if we're, like, to your point, we're Wi-Fi ready. Like in my house, I have two Wi-Fi routers, so we're literally like fried out here, like fried chicken. We just don't. But you're
You could
right.
turn them
We're
off at night. Just turn them off at night. Just get a little timer and turn them off at night. So at least you're getting, 8 hours of no Wi-Fi. Just try that. Go Ethernet.
thank you. That's a powerful one. But also now a couple of things. You talk about water, hydration. It's all good. But now what about and talk important of sleep? What about exercise? What do you say to
Oh
that?
yeah.
What
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exercise, number one thing. Yeah, you need, well, number two. But yeah, we definitely need to exercise. And so I love my kettlebells with my husband in the morning. I like yoga. I love Pilates. I love dance. I love dance, probably one of my favorite things. And if you're in a building, you can do, I like NIA dance. I think it's really cool. NIA dance, but NIA, it like combines some of the martial arts with dance, and it's just fun. And there's so many different types of NIA dance. That's enjoyable. I'm a sauna phenomenal though. Like everybody needs a sauna. That is one of the number one ways to detoxify the body, get the microplastics out of the body. I just did my live blood cell analysis. It looks incredible. Matter of fact, I just want to show you something. This will give your people so much hope. We've done we do a lot of like retreats here, and some of them are detox retreats. But we have video here that shows you the before and after, before when somebody has come in for their blood work. And I'm going to show you the before they do any cleansing at all. So if you look at that, those are gut toxins and bacteria. And look at the cells. They look awful, don't they? None of them are round.
Oh my
They're
God. Yeah, it
terribly
looks like a
unhealthy.
it's like a,
It's
what do you call those movies, like virus movies?
Yeah, it's like, and it's mold, and there's mold in there, and there's fungus from candida. It's just awful. This is literally days, like 7 days later. That's
Oh,
seven
look at
days
that.
later. That is 7 days. They look beautiful. Those are red blood cells. Imagine how much more oxygen she is getting right now, right? Now, you can see she's still a little anemic. That's what all those little white dots are inside of the red blood cells. But I mean, that's in what, 7 days? Can you imagine what 7 weeks is going to do to that woman, or what 7 months can do? And that's all of you. All of you have blood. Hello, right? You're all alive. You're electric. You need water. So just like by making some changes, your blood is going to change, which means you're going to feel better. Like you are just a bunch of floating cells, guys, trillions of cells floating, right? And that are forming organs and glands and tissues and neurotransmitters and hormones and the bacteria is helping you stay alive. Every minute you're forming your fascia was the first thing formed in the body when you were an embryo in your mother. Like fascia is so important to keep stretching and relaxing and moving. So you're just alive and you can treat your body that way. Just treat your body being alive.
Well, thank you. So I know we exceeded the hour, but there is a discussion we hear all the time: alkaline water versus regular water. Is that a thing? Because because
Well,
did I hate
I'll just tell you, I will never buy an alkalizing water machine. Now, here's the reason it works because you just spent $5,000 on an alkalizing water machine and you're going to drink more water. Water is going to reverse most health issues, like very well. Water, I should say, rename that. Water will help eliminate and help in the transition of cell function. So the healthier the water and the more aware you are of your water, great. But there are 3 areas in a woman and 2 in a male that need to be acidic all of the time. Your stomach must be acidic and your colon must be acidic. And women, your vaginal canal must be acidic. So there's your answer. Am I going to encourage people to drink alkalized water? I will never encourage it, ever. But I will encourage you to do structured water. You can throw your water in a blender and structure it in seconds. Great, drink that. It'll be absorbed into the body much faster. Or you can buy a really expensive structured water machine and put it on your whole property, which is what we did. But anyhow, and so like structuring the water, making sure you're not drinking tap water. Like right now, never raise your right hand. I'll never drink tap water again. Like go find a spring near you. That's a website. Find a spring near me, right? But you can find a spring, find some good water, but please drink more water and I will just say that no now I will mention that that yes I just that's where I'm going to stand. I'm going to stand on that. I can't go back because I know what the stomach needs to be. I will tell you there's a lot of science out there that does show that the water turns to the pH of your mouth as soon as it goes in your mouth anyways. So are we absorbing some of the alkalinity into our bloodstream from our mouth? Yep. But I'd rather you do that with some lemons squirted in your distilled water or your RO water or your structured water, right? And no, distilled water is never going to pull you apart into a million pieces. The only way you get osteoporosis, the main way, clarify that, the number one way you get osteoporosis is by too much acid in the bloodstream. And what goes in your blood? Whatever you ate. And so acidic foods like meat and dairy and grain, I'm going to repeat that. Number one way to cause osteoporosis is dairy. I will have that on my tombstone. I tell everybody that when I die, you got to put it on my tombstone because the number one way for you to get osteoporosis is eating ice cream and sucking out of a cow because it is so acidic and it goes into your body that it will pull minerals out of the bone structure and it'll turn your muscles into ammonia to alkalize the bloodstream because all of us have a bloodstream that should be 7.365 pH, right about. And if we don't, if the body recognizes that we're low in minerals, it's just going to take it out of the bones or it's going to take it out of the muscle tissue. So atrophy, all that's very real. Can you restore your bone health? Yes, it grows all the time. Just take more herbs and more minerals. Of course, you can reverse that. We've seen countless people have stronger bones again and turn away from being pre-osteoporotic. But we just don't. We were never taught that. We were taught by dairy councils in our school with milk mustaches everywhere that we're supposed to suck out of a cow, but that's subsidized. And maybe someone at one point thought that's how you get calcium into the bones. But anybody doing any kind of research right now, worldwide research on the epidemic of mineral depletion from the bones can clearly see in an acidic body it needs minerals. And if we're not eating fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, if we're not eating beans and certain grains, we aren't getting minerals. And the body is simply going to pull the minerals out of the bones or the muscle. This is not hard. It's just something you haven't been taught. You don't have to believe me. You really don't. I don't care. You can drink. I'm from Wisconsin. Like, I'm not going to pass up some raw cheese once in a while because it's fun and I have a liver and I know how to use it, right? So, like, I'll still have a little bit of cheese, here and there. Not often, ever, hardly at all. But I like it to taste it sometimes because it's fun. But this girl who grew up on dairy and then went to college, drinking a gallon of milk every couple of days, hasn't touched it in decades. That's okay. It's just how I chose to live. You can choose whatever you want. It doesn't matter. If you are now, my daughter, one of my daughters has a cow and she milks it and they drink it fresh that day. That's much better because within 24 hours, the electrical imprint on that dairy, right, measuring it with measuring in angstroms, you've lost it. So if you're going to drink milk from a cow, please do it the day that it's milked. The day that it's milked, within hours is the best. That's going to be much better for your body. And that's what we do recommend for Crohn's. We recommend dairy sometimes for people when we need to heal part of their body that would be easier to do with fresh milk out of a cow. So there's time and
Well,
a
it's
place for
funny. There's a point. Well, I'm listening to you. It's funny because, like, for example, in Jersey, it is
it.
illegal to actually buy, raw milk. Raw milk is not supposed to be sold there. I mean, you can go to a farm and
So
get it,
dumb.
but yeah, I mean, just to give an example. So
So
that's one
dumb.
thing. But a couple of things. I know we exceeded the hour way out there, but one, you mentioned omega 6 like before, like so where do we find that? I mean, because I think we're getting a lot more of that than not omega 3. And you said something
Yeah.
about structured water, just put water in the blender. I mean, does that how it works?
Yeah, it really is. You can structuring water. I mean, our system, we have thousands of frequencies that go through our water and structure it. And structuring water is very simple. Just think of taking a molecule of water, you hit it with frequencies, and it goes into hundreds of molecules, right? So that one molecule can turn into hundreds or thousands of molecules, and that's very easily, much more easily absorbed into the cell. And you can do that with a blender. Throw your really good water in a blender, hit it on high, for 5, 10 seconds and drink your water, period. It's just, that's an easy way to structure some water. You can buy some nice units that probably do it even better. But if you're at home and you're going to start somewhere, all your friends will think you're nuts. Don't listen to them. Maybe you are, but so am I. Anyhow, and to structure some water and think about it. What is rainwater? Rainwater is all structured. But anyhow, so yeah, that's structured water. What was the other thing you mentioned? It was structured
Omega
water.
6. Yeah, omega
Omega, okay, so
6.
omega sixes, that's your animal. Most of that is found in your animals. And we eat a lot of animals in America and around the world, and we eat too many. We do. We have weight. We are not designed to be a carnivore. We aren't. We have a 22 to 27-foot intestinal system. A carnivore has a very short intestinal system. So the lion can eat the antelope and go to bed for 22 hours, which is how you all feel after Thanksgiving dinner. And so if you're in America, anyhow, and so we weren't designed to live off of animals. You can eat them. I don't care. We've got a half a cow in the freezer from our family farm in Arkansas, and it's phenomenal, right? I don't love meat, so I don't eat much of it, but it's there. But it's not 3 times a day. Maybe sometimes it's not even 3 times a week. So I don't mind at all. But omega 6s are causing so much inflammation, and so many people have joint issues and poor health because they are literally living on omega 6s, and we are forgetting about omega 3s. And there needs to be that balance. I've taught for years 1-to-1 balance, but I'm pretty cool with 3-to-1 balance, 3 omega 6s to 1 omega 3. And so upping your olive oil and upping and think about it, the things that have omega 3s, your walnuts, your flax seeds, your chia seeds, your hemp seeds. There's so many foods that have natural omega 3s occurring. And there's some great companies out there selling a really good omega 3 supplement. Be careful where you look. But yeah, those are all big
What
things,
ab-
ticket items to
what
get
about
some better
what
oil.
ab- what about fish? Like, sardines, anchovies, and all those versus,
Yeah, just make
I
sure
mean,
you're sourcing it. Just make sure you source your fish correctly. And just remember, if you eat sushi, you need to do detoxing. You need to do parasite
parasites.
flushes. Liver flukes are in your watercress and in your water, watercress. What's the other word I'm looking at? Watercress and water, chestnuts, and they're also in sushi. So just making sure that if you eat and enjoy raw fish, you are doing detoxification for your liver and for parasites, especially and liver flukes. I have seen way too many colon hydrotherapy sessions, and you can see the liver flukes, you can see the parasites, and I'm like, people have no idea that's right in their body right now. So you all have parasites. Get over it. Most parasites, a lot of I shouldn't say most parasites are really just living inside of you. They don't want to be there either. Some of them are very beneficial actually because they scare the heck out of some of the viruses and bacteria. So some of those parasites are on your side, but they poop in the body. And the biggest issue with parasites, besides that they eat all of your nutrients, is that they poop in your body. Those are called endotoxins. It's a much prettier name than parasite poop. And so endotoxins can disrupt a lot of things in the body. So yeah.
Oh, well, listen, I know. I mean, this is just. I try to get as much as I can cram in
I
the
know
hour.
you did. That's all
So
good. I
I'd
appreciate it.
appreciate your time. Zuzu,
Thank
this was
you.
fun, and I know that anyone that's watching and listening right now is going to take a whole bunch of stuff. It will take a little bit of a wake up here, because it is a wake up call listening to you, and
Mhm.
definitely a shift in adjusting a little bit of lifestyles. But it is in good, will. It has to, if you want to have a better life,
Yeah.
vitality, and, feel and look and have the energy of Zuzu. I think that this is a good way to start. We do have your website, so we'll have that on the description. So
Yes,
hopefully people can connect it. Yeah.
I wanted to mention for we just are uploading some mini courses. So if people want to learn more about sleep and cancer and diabetes and microbiome, we put them together for all my podcast viewers. And so you're going to be able to go to zuzuunleashed.com and get access, and they're very inexpensive, to learn more about all these different things that I'm talking about. But also, we need you. The world has woken up. Like, they are on fire to learn to do things more natural. And so we would love you. We have holistichealtheducators.com, and you'll be able to get to that website through Zuzu Unleashed. But we have incredible programs, like over 100 programs, but there's like, I think, I don't can't remember how many certification courses we have right now. But you can become an educator, an actual holistic health coach. No, you don't pay $500 and print your certificate, honey. You actually have to learn how the body works. You'll love it. And then an HHP, and our HHPs, it's hard pressed to find a naturopathic doctor course that covers as much as we do. We have some of the top leaders of the world in our programs, and we keep growing and adding and adding. So just if you're looking to get educated and you want to do this for a living, please come. You'll learn so much from our incredible staff and all the doctors and naturopaths that we work with, and we really need you. People need you. Just wanted to put it out there real quick. Thank you.
So thank you. Is that physical? They have to attend at your
Mm-mm. It's
location,
all
or is it
online.
like it's all online? And how
All
long does it
online.
take to get a certification? Like, is that a year, six
Um,
months?
yep, some of them are with, like the holistic health educator, usually a few months, holistic health coach, 6 months to a year. The practitioner is a couple of year program. But some people have done it quicker if that's all they do. Like if that's what they're literally, that's gonna be their college. And we actually have applied to become a college recognized, but they're like, oh yeah, we love everything you're doing, but you'll need to remove your dietary sections and everything on EMFs. And I'm like, nope. Like, no, can't
Well,
do that. You're
I guess now we know why the standard doctors don't have much of that because it's not in the curriculum.
it really isn't. And that's why we can't be mad at our medical doctors. We can't. They weren't taught. They weren't taught. And
unless
that's okay.
unless they do their own research and
Yeah.
work, it's not part of the system. Well,
Yeah.
listen, we have you, and we have,
Thank
that's
you.
good work. And thank you so much, Juju, for being with us and sharing your wisdom and years of research and really applicable and vital resourcing here for people that are watching and listening. And this stuff that you've used that they share with us today can be applied anywhere in the world. That's the beauty of
Yeah.
this.
It
And
sure
people can
can.
access you anywhere in the world, which means that whatever you are, folks, watching and listening today or evergreen, you will have the access to this information. You have the access to the site. And yes, and by the way, for your program, they can be also international students.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's available now in 100 languages. We already have students all over the world, all over the world. Yep.
There you go, folks. So if this is something new in your area and region, this could be something that you can actually certify
Yes.
for and get attached to, and maybe start, providing these services in whatever your local area is, whatever country you're in. So again, Zeus, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to leave our audiences with as a piece of advice before we close the show today?
Pat on the back for sticking with it. And just remember, where focus goes, energy flows. So it starts here. Everything starts with the belief that you can live a healthier lifestyle and feel better tomorrow.
With that words of wisdom, we'll close today. Zeus, thank you so much. And folks,
Thank
thank you
you.
for being with us, for watching, for listening in. American Age. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show topic. Bye for now.